Welcome to Ming Presents The Re-Up, a conversation with the artistic mind. Oh, there he is.
Hey,
How you feeling, Tomasito?
is this good microphone wise, or should I put my headphones in?
You sound great. It's perfect. The only thing that I would say is if you can sit somewhere stationary and not fidget too much, that's even better. But I don't know if you can do that.
I don't know. That's let's see if that's humanly possible. I can try to sit in a chair. Let's see how this goes.
There you go. So how you feeling?
Good. I mean, as best as any man could feel under these circumstances.
I mean, you're loved. You're safe.
I am.
Those are all good things.
They are. I mean, listen. There are plenty of people who are experiencing this in much more complicated ways than we are, and it's good to remember that.
Yeah, I mean, I personally have collaborators who are very sick. I had a babysitter who made it through okay. I know friends, as you have friends who have not made it through okay. I think the harder part for me, and let's not dwell only on this thing because, we're all in the midst of it, but I think the hardest part for me is the ignorance and which we've been seeing in general across America for quite some time now. But the overall ignorance towards science and sanity, and being so politically manipulated that you're not understanding what's actually happening somewhere. I mean, in New York, it's ground zero. We know what's happening. I saw the same thing with September 11th, right? September 11th happened. We lived through it. We knew it was real. And then people started talking about how it was fake and all that kind of nonsense. But we're living through it in real time now. We have this amazing real time internet, and people don't believe that hundreds of people are dying every day, and they're out there, being fools. That's the hardest part for me.
I mean, we are living in a time that is so incomprehensible when it comes to, first of all, science denial. Like, just full blown, like, I don't care what the numbers are. I don't care what these, professional people who have done this their entire life are telling us. I think differently, and therefore that's more valid than what these people have to say. And I mean, I just think the biggest thing for people is the challenge of, well, here's what you need to do so that everybody else doesn't die.
Right.
And people slip into this, like, wingnut libertarian insanity where they're like, you can't keep me inside. I want to go for a jog, and I want to go for a bike ride, and it's nice out. So I don't care if me going outside of my apartment kills people. I want to go outside.
Right. Well, as if that's a freedom. That's the insanity to me. It's, you know what it is? It's like you're in detention in school. Let's call this quarantine. I'm going to make light of it. Let's call this quarantine detention in school, relative to the length of your lifetime and what you have in front of you. Mm-hmm. To sit in detention for a couple of days because you did something bad or because something happened. The couple hours you spent in detention felt like a lifetime, but it wasn't a lifetime. It was an hour or two after school when you went home and your parents yelled at you, right?
Right.
And that's kind of the way that I look at this, which is, this is the first round of things that are going to start happening to us as a society because we're ignoring the obvious and we're getting in trouble with the planet. So you can believe whatever you want to believe, but the planet and nature is going to have its way with us. It starts with the pandemic. Next, it'll be, let's say, global warming and flood, water's rising, and then it's going to be water shortages. And, we're on that trajectory. So to see people not like getting this part of it is a little, disheartening.
Well, and you know, and they think it's a government conspiracy, and this is about, you know, controlling the masses, and you have all those idiots who chime in, and like, you know, everybody. And you know, here's the funniest part: like, I'm an outspoken activist. I have a lot to say about a lot of things,
As you
and
should, because you're an artist. That's what an artist does. And I want to talk about exactly what you just said, because I have so many. The whole "shut up and make music" thing makes me crazy, but we're going to get to that.
I mean, you know, all of this is fine and dandy, but you know, I have not left my apartment in 47 days. And when I say I haven't left my apartment, I mean I have not walked out the threshold of my front door in 47 days. So, you know, yeah, I might be outspoken about a lot of things, but I also don't want to die.
Yeah.
So knowing what the stakes are here in New York City, and you know, and people, you know, they're like, well, you know, blah blah blah, this that. I'm like, where do you live? And they're like, Kansas, and
I
I'm
know,
like,
I know.
well,
I
yeah,
love.
well, yeah, like you know, you can go outside and walk around and not see people. Like this is not the same thing. Like we, you know, I'm in downtown Brooklyn. I'm probably in one of the highest concentrations of people in the city. You know what I mean? This is where so much of the city converges. So I mean, like this is a massive amount of people. There is no such thing as 6 feet away from anything
Well,
in
I talked to
downtown
a concert
Brooklyn.
promoter who was a little bit up in arms in the concept of like, we can't limit all social gathering. And I said, okay, let me play devil's advocate with you. Say it's not the social gathering, but it's the shared resources. Everybody has to go to the bathroom. Everybody needs food. Everybody's going to take public transportation to get there. People are going to use toll booths to get, like, I'm like, there are a lot of things that even if the group of people all sign off and say, hey, I want to go do this thing, you're putting all of the other people at risk. So don't you understand? And he got it when I said it that way. Because I was like, everybody's going to have to go to the bathroom during a show. That means everybody is going to be in the same little teeny box. That's what New York is. Everything's a little teeny box. The elevator, the subway, the deli,
Mm-hmm.
the cab. There's no space. Even if you're 6 feet away from everybody, you're still going to run into a shared thing.
It you know it is. I mean, this talk of like rescheduling tours for
I know.
August, and no, they're going to be, and you know, we're going to try. We're you know our eyes are set on fall. It's like of 2021.
I know.
Good job, because now you're thinking right. I mean, like
Right.
it. I mean, the people who know this are saying that there will not be another festival. There will be not another concert until October of 2021.
But not an attended concert, because I think they're all starting to do these, like, on live on stream. They've set up 4 different.
Right.
No, I'm with you on that, but I'm saying no social gathering. It's
But
going to have to change.
but we have, you know, we live in a country where every state is on its own drug trip, and we have Georgia, which is, take a deep breath, opening nightclubs on the 13th of May. Nightclubs. Like, so TikTok, when does Georgia become the massacre? Because, like, it's only a matter of time. But no joke, they're opening nightclubs on the 13th of May. That's insane.
I mean, they opened the whole state, I think.
Well, I mean, they're doing things like a little bit at a time. I don't know how bowling alleys and like hair salons were on the top of the list, but like, you know, these things are getting rolled out kind of in real time. But you know, 2 weeks from today, they start nightclubs again, and it's you know that's gonna be you know an absolute. I don't
It's
know.
like it's like it's like opening bathhouses in the middle of the AIDS epidemic. That's how I see it. It's that stupid.
I
But
mean,
but but let me
yeah.
let me just because the whole right wing I need a haircut thing. I'm bald, and I'm giving my son, who's 8.5, haircuts by watching them on YouTube and doing great job. I'm doing a great job. I'm gonna cut his hair again this weekend. If your worry during quarantine is that you need a haircut or over death, I mean, you should be allowed to vote. I'm
Yeah, but
serious. Like you're not. That's not even a. That's like saying, well, I don't want to wear seatbelts because I might have to scratch my butt.
listen, they made a fatal error when they choose the verbiage of the founding of this country, and when they said "give me liberty" or "give me death," that can be
Now it can be literal.
interpreted in a lot of different ways, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, there are people who think that they deserve to do whatever they want, and I think that's most of the country. I mean,
So
like, I had to, like, me and my family had to, like, deprogram our parents from, like, leaving the house. You know what I mean? Like, they just thought that, they watch, obviously, they're in their 80s. So what do you think they get their information from?
phone
So,
news.
yeah, right before we got on, just as a side note, but it's, like, in real time relevant, so it's worth mentioning. There's that new nut job press secretary who used to be on CNN and then went to Fox. You know who I'm talking about,
Blonde
right?
haired lady. Yeah.
Yes.
Racist.
So,
Crazy
so she
racist lady.
totally insane person, and so she just did her first press briefing, and the way she wrapped up the briefing was, "Don't forget to watch the president's town hall tonight on Fox." That was the end of her press briefing from the White House today. So we now have a press secretary who's doing, like, ads for Fox at
Yeah.
the tail end of her press
I mean, it's all
conferences.
pay for play right out in front now. I mean, it's like we all knew that there was a level of the government, whatever. I mean, and look, I'm liberal and I'm a Democrat, um, and I'm definitely a progressive. But you can always see it happening. You can always see the dog wagging its tail, like for both sides. But it's become so skewed. I want to talk to you about this, especially because you're such a big proponent for Bernie, and I like Bernie. Um, let me segue some way into this so I can kind of make the point about where we've shifted in the country.
Mm-hmm.
That a Democrat and a Republican used to be similar but different in the sense of Republicans used to be fiscally conservative, quote for the family, and was more about less government. Democrats used to be about more social programs, um, things, stuff for teachers, more, all that kind of whatever, which is more liberal minded standpoint. They weren't very far away from each other. They were, to the left and to the right, but they weren't. It wasn't like it is now, where really what's happened is you have sort of the Tea Party all the way to the right, this weird sort of Republican cronyism. The regular Republican and the regular Democrat are really now in the center because most sane Republicans don't like what's going on now. It's same with most Democrats. And then we have what seems like a left, but it's not really a left. It's what the Democrats used to be, progressive, right? It's a weird shifted all the way sort of skewed to the right in order to get to the center, which is kind of liberal, right? Now, this long thing that I'm going for talking about here is now we're in a situation where we have progressive ideas that we want to move forward. A lot came from Bernie, some came from Elizabeth Warren. They've come from more towards the left, right? The progressives. But people don't understand that the president is just the captain of the ship. And America is a massive ocean liner. When an ocean liner wants to turn to the left or turn to the right, the captain can give the orders. And depending on the speed of the ship and the momentum and everything else surrounding the journey, the ocean liner can turn soft or it can turn hard, but it can't turn hard unless it has the current with it turning in the same direction. It has the wind going in the same direction it wants to turn. So I consider that to be the Senate and the Congress, right? So we had this thing where we had Obama in office, but he didn't have the wind and the current with him. So he was fighting against the wind. So no matter how sharp he wanted to turn, he was going to get pushed back towards the center regardless.
Yeah,
And now we're seeing.
To be fair, Obama didn't really want to go that left anyway. I mean,
No,
he was a total centrist.
Yes, I agree with that. But so are most Democrats and most Republicans. They're just a fine line on how they want the economics to work on. It was progressive in theory because at least a black man was in office and he was a very eloquent, very educated, and very galvanizing person. You can be upset that he didn't get as much through as he wanted to get through. I get that, or it didn't happen. But
he deported a lot of people and he killed a lot of people with drones. Let's not forget that too.
Every president kills a lot of people with military, though. That's the
but mostly him.
We have to agree upon.
But mostly him. He was really slick about it, and he made people not care that he was doing it.
I don't think he made people not care that he was doing it. I think that drone technology was not something that people who were thinking about the everyday life were attuned to. And I'm not making excuses for him because you're 100% correct. But it's not. We can't have another Vietnam War. We can't have another Desert Storm. Desert Storm with smart bombs. They dropped a bazillion smart bombs during Desert Storm.
Well, I mean,
right? Whatever technology the president has.
But we don't have to worry about any of that anymore anyway, because we live in a third world country now, and our entire country is basically on the brink of civil war. So
100%,
we don't have to worry about what's going on in any foreign country or like who we have to take care of over there, because right now this is a complete clusterfuck. Like there is, yeah. I mean, like we have states that are defying logic and reason, who aren't listening to like the most basic normal guidelines of how to be a human. And you have, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me because I mean, you know, you're talking to somebody who's like completely on the absolute fringes of all of this. I mean, you know, everyone in this, I get on Zoom calls with my family, and they say to Daniela and I, they're like, "Oh, it's so great that you guys have such a good governor." And I'm like, "Oh my God, what?" I'm like, "We hate Cuomo."
I know, but he is leading at least.
No, Cuomo's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, like, but dude, he's not an idiot. He's not an idiot for most people at this moment. He's at least a bit of a guiding light. I agree with you. No one in New York likes Cuomo.
No, you cannot call a man a guiding light when 2 weeks ago he slashed Medicaid. You cannot call him a guiding light. Anyone who slashes Medicaid during a pandemic is a piece of shit, and that's what he is. Don't call him a leader. Don't say he's a guiding light. He's not.
Right,
in the background, he's doing things that are against New Yorkers, and that is not okay. Like, he does not get points for one thing and then excused for other things. That's not how it works.
I'm with you on that, but I also think that leads into another topic that's really what bothers me a lot, is that when I think of you, Tommie, I'm going to make it personal. And same with myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see you as a perfect person, and you don't try to portray yourself as a perfect person.
Nope.
And you have owned a lot of your issues and come out and talk about them, and you share with people the real, you know, like where you're at, right? I know the artist Tommie, I know the persona Tommie, but I know the real Tommie as well. And you put all of that out there. And I try to do the same thing. But we're living in a culture where everybody expects now everything to be perfect. And sometimes when I hear you talk about, like, if somebody does 8 things right and 2 things wrong, you're on the 2 things wrong because you're expecting them to do more.
No.
I'm just saying though, like, that's how some of that can come across, and I think it's important to delineate that nobody is perfect, and that young people are looking for this candidate and for this leader and for these people who make no mistakes and have never made mistakes.
I don't think that's what it is. I don't.
You don't think so?
No. I think what people do not want people to be perfect. I don't think that's true. I think all anyone wants, anybody in the whole world, all anyone wants is the truth. They want honest people. They want people who will tell the truth and will say something and mean it and stand by it.
See,
That's what they want.
I would believe what you're saying if there wasn't for religion, because to me, that is the untruth. And people subscribe to the untruth and do things under the guise of the untruth that we would never do, ever, as a normal human being.
I mean, please, let's not start talking about religion.
But I'm just saying that
nobody wants to hear my thoughts on that. Nobody. Trust me.
No, I know, but I'm saying, I agree with you that I think most people are good in general. That's a good way of saying it. And most people want a degree of the truth. But I know, and you should know this from dating, you can't be 100% truthful all the time. You have to be tactful. And I think what's happened with politics is instead of being tactful and truthful, it's just become slanted and dishonest. Tactful has become dishonest, and that's what we don't need. We don't need dishonest. And I agree with you about Cuomo, because I didn't like him before this, but I felt like he stepped it up and was, started to tell people like, yo, the truth is this is not a good situation. You need to stay home. While the rest of these other governors are like, when are we going to open up Las Vegas? And you're like,
yeah, but you can't give him points for not being as fucking stupid as the Las Vegas mayor. These metrics are bad metrics. Like, if you're going to the bottom of the barrel and you're saying that this other person's better than that, these are not how we should be weighing people. It should be about, okay, is Cuomo good at what he does? He's leading, but in the background of leading, he's slashing Medicaid and cutting taxes on luxury items like helicopters and boats and jewelry while there's a pandemic. And he's the one that's responsible for getting Bernie off the ticket in New York, because he put a provision in the budget that said that if you what did he do with his campaign? He didn't stop it. He what was it on?
I don't know. I thought that he suspended his campaign. I thought that it was before that, before Cuomo did that.
No. So Cuomo put something into the budget that said that if you suspended your campaign, you couldn't be on the ticket. That's unprecedented. That doesn't exist in our laws. He put it in there. And when he started to get heat about it, because he didn't want to take the fall, because he's the almighty Andrew Cuomo, he went to the Board of Elections and said, yo, you have to take the heat on this. And that's when they canceled the primary. So all the heat went on the Board of Elections, and it was lifted off Cuomo.
Yeah, I mean, that's typical, right? Double dealing.
Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, he gets nothing from me. He's a jerk.
That's okay. I'm cool with you on that. But you understand what my point is. My point is that I hear a lot of people driving or watching a lot of people drive their car off the cliff these days with these viewpoints of I'm not going to vote. I don't do this. I'm not going to. I don't know that people understand well enough that it really starts with your local government. If you're not voting for your local representatives, people who are closest to your grassroots representatives, they're the ones who can affect your locale the most. Then it moves up the state. Yeah. The president is basically a figurehead to some degree, but if you don't vote in the right direction, you lose the ability to have, the Supreme Court. You lose the Supreme Court. You lose local judges. You lose rights for women. You lose all these things. You get taken away, and that's what's happening now. And I'm afraid that because this whole primary stuff was just so pathetic. I mean, pathetic on every realm. Totally just terrible. And I also think the Electoral College is a whole nother waste of fucking time and money. That's a whole other thing together. But people are just disenfranchised and aren't going to vote, and we're going to end up with 4 more years of fucking Donnie dementia. And, we're going to lose Roe versus Wade, and we're going to lose. I mean, it's going to just keep cascading down, and they're just rooting the government.
It would have helped. It would have helped if Tom Perez and the DNC and the Democrats ran somebody who wasn't a fucking rapist. Maybe that would have been a good idea. Like if they had chosen a candidate who they didn't have to make excuses for and prop up and do all of this nonsense that they have to do,
Yeah.
then it would have been okay. But now they're giving people the choice of rapist or rapist. And what's the difference?
See, but that's not. See, that's where you and I are going to differ, because that is okay. Rapist versus, I get that. You can, that hasn't been proven on him, and I'm not defending him on that. But he ran 8 years under Obama, and he has led. And when he did lead, he didn't do any of the horrific things that they're doing now. So even if I was
That's
to
not
call him
true.
the same,
That's
no,
not true.
it's true. He didn't put kids in cages.
They
He didn't.
did.
They started that program, but they didn't do what they're doing now.
Obama and Biden are responsible for what is going on at the border right now. They
I don't believe
started
that.
all of that. They started all of. Well,
They
you
started
don't
it, but they
believe it. They
didn't do
started
that.
it.
They didn't do that. There weren't kids in cages like there are now. They
Yes, there
started the
were.
program.
No, yes, there were, dude. It's all documented. This isn't conjecture. They started that.
So
All
so
Trump
you're
did
going to
was
tell me that
expand it.
you feel that Biden and Trump are the same thing?
No, I didn't say that. But the equivalency is you have a fucked up man who has a pile of sexual abuse and rape allegations against them, and you have another man who has sexual abuse and rape
Yes.
allegations against them. That again is not conjecture. Are they the same person? No. Do they believe different things? No. But Biden just put the fucking whatever fucking waitress sandwich guy as the fucking as his advisor, who is another piece of shit. And it's like you know this is a
Okay, so
system.
that's fine, but where does it see? What I'm saying is like, you can be angry about all those things, but where does the line get drawn as to what you have? Two choices now. I did not choose Biden. He was not my choice.
No.
He's not my choice. I'm just going to say that. But there's no way that I see them as the two animals. I see it as, you have an ocean liner, and if you want the current, which the current is progressiveness, if you want the progressiveness to push the ocean liner, and you want the wind, which is the momentum.
Yeah, but who's the
You need
progressive?
what?
Who's the progressive?
People are the progressives. The local governments can be the progressives. The organizers can be the progressives. So here's my other analogy. I think that Obama fell short on a lot of programs that people expected him to have.
I mean, I don't think he did anything he promised, but go ahead.
But the people organized finally after so many years of being complacent and got behind that rallying call. And I think that glimmer of hope, that thing that rose up from the people, was the part that I'm most interested in, which is, look, a little about myself. I'm the block association president where I live. I put a lot of hours into helping my own community. I volunteer. I do all the same stuff that you do. We protest. We do all of that. But you're on the ground. It makes a big difference. I'm never asking the guy above me how I'm going to get this thing done. People in my neighborhood are asking how we're going to get it done, and I find out how to do it, and I do it. I know from my own experience that if you want to make change happen locally, and then that spreads out, you do it yourself. And I know that's why you're on the streets doing what you do. And I know we're from the same cloth. And I'm just playing a little devil's advocate, because I think too many people are sitting back and listening to the conjecture of they're two rapists, as opposed to, what do I lose if that captain over that captain?
Yeah, but we did this already in 2016. I was forced to vote for somebody who was a fucking terrible candidate, who they should have never picked.
I'm
And
with you 100%.
so,
But you know who liked that candidate? All the older people liked that candidate. Just like all the older people.
But the older people shouldn't be making these decisions,
I
because
know,
they're
but
not going to be around.
I also
They're
think
not
it's
going to be around long enough to face the consequences of their choices. That's the problem.
I'm with
We
you.
have to deal with it. We have to deal with all
let's
of
talk about
it.
some other things. Like, I actually think that presidents there should be an age limit, or you have to do like a series of health tests and all that stuff. It's just these people who are in their late 70s, 80s, they can't speak for the country in general because they don't have enough. They're already
That's
at the end of their.
But that's not true. I mean, like, you can't say that. Like, I mean, you look at somebody like Biden, who's a fucking vegetable, and you look at somebody like Bernie, who's completely with it and had his finger completely on the pulse of what everyone needs. And I mean, listen, we are in the midst of a pandemic, and the solution, the sane solution to this pandemic, is the platform that Bernie Sanders ran on. It's like a joke. It's like okay, not only is the DNC fucked him, but now we're in the middle of a situation in the country where the only solution that makes any sense is to give people the assistance that they need to endure this crisis. You need to give them Medicare for all. You need to raise their wages. You need to, I mean, every single bit of what he ran on is exactly what we need right now.
100%.
And anybody who says anything to the contrary is delusional.
But half the country believes that if you give people the things that they know that they need, that they don't have freedom.
Well, you know what?
I know.
Fuck them. Like, fuck them. Like, you know what? I mean, listen. Like, I mean, this is how this. You know, you're talking about, like, I don't think you need to put an age limit on who can run for president. They just can't be a fucking piece of shit.
Well, look,
that's the test.
I'm going to dig on Bernie a little bit because I do like Bernie. He's a bit of a curmudgeon for me. He's not so great with women in general. The way that I feel, and a lot of other women that I talk to feel that way. I like him. I would have voted for him 100%. I also would have voted for Elizabeth Warren. I liked her a lot. But
I would have never voted for Elizabeth Warren.
That's okay. But
she's a corporate Democrat, and the fact that she poses as a fucking progressive is lies. It's
I
total
think any
lies.
politician at that level is posing as things to hit as many people as possible. I really do.
But you know what? I don't. You know, I don't buy the, like. Well, you know. Well, that's just the way it is, and that's, you know, that's the system. So
I don't know, dude. I'll tell you this: from doing organizing in my own neighborhood, the last thing that I aspire to is moving up to the next thing, like city council, or to be on like CB10, or, you know, like one of these community boards. Once I got a taste of what the people are like that actually want to run those organizations, and, you know, I was like, you know what, I don't want to get involved in that. I just want to keep working on my small community and do what I can do, because I'm not a megalomaniac. I'm not I feel like the people who want to run for those things have a bit of megalomania in them.
Listen to this. I mean, this is the bottom line. Like, you know, we have a country. We are living in a shared experience right now, right?
You'd think
30% of this country is Republican. 30% of this country is Democrat. And the entire rest of the lot is independent. So the fact that these two, and let me state this with the absolute utmost factual sincerity, minorities politically are pitted against each other, and us as a country are victims to this back and forth insanity, when neither of them speak for the country, because the majority of the country will vote for whoever is the best candidate and whoever has the best policies, which is the definition of what an independent voter is. So the people who would consider anyone, as long as they're not a jerk, like, though, that's the majority of the country, while these other clowns, like, you know, you turn on cable news and it's like, you know, you get two choices. You get Fox, or you get Fox for Democrats. So, you know, that's all you get. There is no fair and balanced fucking reporting of news in this country. That is completely, that doesn't exist.
Although when Al Jazeera was on, I really liked Al Jazeera News.
But they've got their shit too.
But they're gone.
I mean? everybody has a bias, but I mean, like, no, listen, I mean, and if you want to dig, you can dig. I mean, like, you can go to Young Turks, you can go to Democracy Now, you can go hear what's going on without conjecture, and you can get the information. Like, it's out there if you want it, but you know, you have to go a few more steps than turning on the stupid TV and watching the Maddows and the, you know, and the Anderson Coopers and the you know, it's like, oh, you know what? I know what we need in the middle of a pandemic. I need to watch Chris Cuomo, like, yucking up with
all
his
right, all
brother.
right.
Like,
I know
you know,
I
like,
know.
that's what we need.
I
That's
know.
going
I
to
know.
fix
I know.
everything.
Yeah,
We're
I know.
good. Yeah, I mean, like,
I'm with you on that. I knew you were going to say that. You got it back around to the Cuomos.
those two idiots.
I'm with you 100% on that, and I do think that young people, out of all this blah 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 that we're yapping about, I really just hope that young people understand that they can make a difference by participating on the grassroots roots level, and stop looking above them for a solution, and
Yeah.
participate. And that's what I see. Like when I see you out protesting, and when I'm out with my family protesting or doing whatever we're doing in the community, the message to my kids are, no one is going to fix this. You need to fix this. We're going to fix this together. You have to participate. And that's really what, and maybe all of the roundabout questions that I'm, saying to you, and you're opinionated, I'm opinionated, but what I really think that people like you and I need to do is just keep people motivated and young people motivated to do things and not just get fed up with the system and turn it off. That's really that's because I know that you're participating, but sometimes, like, I think when you say, when we dig at it, I'm not just mean when I say you, I mean us. When we say pointed things towards the people we don't like and all that, what we're really not doing is the service of doing the work, and which you do, and I do too. So I think what's important out of all this nonsense is that we stay focused on doing the work and changing things and making the progression happen. Can you help define for me, and if you can't, because I have this conversation with a lot of people, the difference between a progressive and a liberal, and not a libertarian, because I think people confuse liberal and libertarian because they don't know, like whatever. But a progressive and a liberal, not libertarian.
Okay, well, I hope everybody has a couple of hours. So go get
Can you do
yourself
it short? Let's
go
do it
get
in a
yourself
short way.
something to drink, and we're gonna have some fun. Um, a progressive is somebody who exemplifies compassion and empathy, and bases all of their political views on how is the things that are in front of us, how are they going to impact everybody, and specifically how are they going to impact the quietest of the voices, the ones who are pushed back, and the minority take on the conversation. That's what progressives are interested in. And liberals are basically Republicans.
Why is a liberal a Republican?
No, I mean, obviously, I'm half joking, but I mean, liberals are typically white people who like to make themselves feel better by pretending that they care about these causes that are progressive. But really, at the end of the day, if you really sit down with someone who considers themselves a liberal, like, by the end of the conversation, you're going to find out that they're a centrist. Like, they just like to think that they're progressive. So, I mean, and this is from experience, like from years and years of being out in the field and in these conversations with people, and you start to realize that, their intentions might be good, but, as we were told as children, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So, I mean, that's kind of the mantra. The mantra of liberalism is like, well, our intentions are good. And it's like, well,
Okay.
yeah, but
I
what are
think
you going to do about it?
that's one of the best descriptions, honestly, in a very short. You did that very quickly, and I'm glad I asked you, because no one ever is able to, I feel like, voice that and then separate what the difference between liberal and progressive is. Because I consider myself to have grown up with liberal values and in a liberal mind state, and I found myself being more progressive in the sense of wanting to affect change and to pay, and I know that I have privilege, and to be able to use my privilege to be able to help people who don't have that voice, and to be, to stand up for the everyman, basically, and what, and whatever I do. um and I didn't know that that was being progressive until the term came around, and I started hearing people use the word liberal as a bad thing. But growing up as a liberal in a liberal family, I was like, well, how is this word that I always thought of as a good thing becoming a bad thing? And now I get what the definition and how people are referring to it, and I get it, because intention and progression are two different things.
Well, and I think that, I don't hate liberals. Like I'm happy. I kind of do, but I'm happy that at least they show promise. Like they show promise that at some point in their life they will stop thinking about themselves and they will actually become progressive. Like basically, no, actually. I rescind my answer from before. I can boil this down even more razor sharp, and 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 a liberal is someone who has the potential to be progressive. They're just selfish. A selfish progressive is a liberal.
Again,
That's basically what it is. You know what I mean?
I don't think you have to quantify it anymore. I think that that's a good way of of framing it, that like you can have liberal values, but if you're still thinking about yourself first and you're thinking about the outcome for you over the outcome of many, then you may not be progressive. You may be worried about getting yours, which makes you much more of a centrist. And I think that you know it takes work to become progressive, and it takes work to be able to push yourself to be uncomfortable. I think you can have a liberal mind, but as soon as it goes into practice, it becomes tough for people to actually put their money where their mouth is. And then once they learn how to do that, then they can decide, well, maybe I'm really just conservative and I don't care, or I got to work on this.
I mean, listen, Bernie is a progressive. Elizabeth Warren is a liberal. I mean, and people will argue that she's progressive, but she's not, because she plays too much by the system. And by playing too much by the system makes you a liberal, not a progressive.
I get that definition, and I get that, but I feel like she had a lot of progressive policies that were well thought out, but she was playing the game, and I get.
They were well thought out by Bernie. So
well, we can all say what we want to say, but he's not in the race now, and unfortunately, like I wish there was more options, and I really do. And so for me, it's like rethreading a needle that's already been threaded. I don't know what this is going to turn into.
I can tell you what it's going to turn into. I mean, this race is over. It's been over.
Don't put it out there.
No, dude. No. Listen, fuck that. Like, there's no such thing as like bad juju, and like you can't. Don't say that, because it's.
You think he's getting another 4?
It's done. It's done. Like,
I don't believe that. I don't believe
Biden in real time. His candidacy is imploding. The Tara Reid allegations are completely credible, and until there is a trial, and until he goes up in front of whoever he has to go up in front of. I mean, listen, you can't have all this false equivalency and go through all this Blasey Ford and Kavanaugh stuff and then not do that for Biden and Tara Reid.
I'm with you on that, but that Kavanaugh shit was bullshit. He was full on not supposed. He full on lied during his his stuff.
So is Biden. He was
I'm
on
getting
TV
that,
this
but he's not on
morning.
trial yet, Tommie. Was what I'm saying to you is you're being the judge before he's on trial. Kavanaugh was on trial, was when he went through
Kavanaugh,
that,
hey,
and
hey,
he
hey.
lied through the whole thing.
Wait, Kavanaugh was not on fucking television every morning with who are the fucking idiots on MSNBC in the morning?
I don't know. I don't watch that crap.
Joe and Mika. What is it? Morning Joe. So Morning Joe has become the Fox and Friends for Biden. So
Yes.
Trump goes on Fox and Friends, Biden goes on Morning Joe. So Biden was on this morning talking to Mika and top to bottom said that all of her allegations are bullshit, that she's lying, that all of this stuff. So listen, so who's, whatever. Listen, this is a complete clusterfuck. He's backed himself into a corner. Like you can't have a Me Too movement and believe in that and then be like, oh, you know what? But that doesn't apply to Joe Biden
No,
because like
I agree with
Joe
you.
Biden is Joe Biden.
I don't know how to reconcile it either. But what I do, I look at it. See, this is for my progressive. This is how I feel it's progressive. That if you talk to minorities, they feel more comfortable with having him than Trump. And so my feeling is that I don't think he's a great candidate. He's definitely was not even close to my fifth choice. And I don't want to like. It's so hard to defend somebody you don't really want to defend. But I'm saying
He's not even
if
a
you got,
cognizant human being.
I don't know. If
He's not even like a working human.
All right,
Like,
all right.
come
I'm
on.
going to change the topic because I don't. I actually don't want to defend Biden because it's a good conversation, but I don't. You
You're
know what? You know that I'm just like trying to keep it moving. I'm not.
you're kind
There's
of
no way.
defending him a little bit.
I'm trying to defend that the overall choice of the party, is a better choice. He's not a good candidate.
Well,
That's the best way.
but hang on. You have to be honest about something in
Hmm.
order for this to make any sense. Are you a Democrat?
I'm more of a independent that votes Democrat.
Well, I mean, you seem to be defending the party an awful lot. So that's
Well,
why
all
I'm
right,
asking if you're
what
a
I'm defending
Democrat.
is the system, and I'm not saying that the system is right. I'm saying right now that the system is in place. This is the thing that I think is dangerous for people like you and I to just be cavalier and throw it off like the system's going to get burned down tomorrow. Is that I believe that incremental change will definitely happen and is happening. And I feel like what's happened in this country is that enough people have been awakened to the what the shitstorm is. And those people who become active will help push the party system open, and we will have a much better way of getting good people to the top. But right now, in the next 4 years, in this 4 year outlook, I see two teams in the race, and I see one team, although I don't like all of the policies, I see one team triaging some of the disgusting stuff that's happening. That's the way that I look at it. I'm not an anarchist. I don't believe in anarchy. I don't believe that you can burn down the system because I work with people, and generally I don't find most people have their shit together. I find that most people want to follow a leader, and it's at every job, it's at every organization,
Well,
it's
that's why
whatever.
religion works.
I know. Well, then we're gonna get into that whole thing. But that's all I'm saying to you is I know um I'm being defensive of what we have at the moment, and I'm with you on most of it. I wouldn't say, look, I have children, you don't have children.
Right.
When you have children, the perspective has to be, how do I keep my child safe, but yet expect them to do better and do more, and not just accept everything that's in front of them, but also be able to work within a system so that they can move forward.
Well, I mean, listen, I don't doubt, I completely understand why, as a parent, you would want to, play by the system's rules. And by having children, and I'm not attacking you. This is like
Yeah.
completely factual. Like, I understand why that would make you, or at least pull you back towards the center and want to play ball because you're looking out for your kids. I get that. You know what I mean? Like, so for you have more of a legacy perspective because you've got children and you're trying to look out for a better world for them. Like, I don't have that baggage. So, and it's, you know, whatever, that's my business coming out calling it baggage. But like, so, I mean, like, you know, I don't have those considerations. So I am able to look at it in as you said, a cavalier way and say, no. If we're doing this, it's going to be this way, and we are going to fight nonstop until it's this way. And listen, the one thing about activists that most people don't understand is that activists have lots of patience. So, you know, all of these people, these like nut jobs in Michigan who want their hair done and, you know, all these assholes, like those people don't have any patience. They want what they want and they want it now. Activists are the opposite.
Right, because but those aren't activists; those are children with rifles. I mean,
no, unarguable. But what I'm saying is that as activists, like, we will fight. It is a lifelong fight. Like, it will go on. It will go on as long as it needs to go on. I mean, Daniela and I have been in this mindset, the mindset in which we live, and in the fight that we fight since 2012 in Occupy Wall Street. It started there. That's where we were activated. It's where we were drawn in. And there is very little difference between the tenets of Occupy Wall Street and the two presidential campaigns of Bernie Sanders. The tenets are almost exact.
Well,
what we were fighting for is the same.
Like, I got that, and I definitely felt that, and I feel like you know, Occupy became a good scapegoat for a certain set of behavior that wasn't really associated with the mindset. And so, you know, like when you say Occupy, I'm all of a sudden like, you know, the rest of America sees Occupy as like a bunch, you know, the dirty hippies that wouldn't let go of Wall Street. When you live in New York, you knew what Occupy was about. But I want to just totally shift gears for a second, because I know that you and I could talk politics for, like, we're both Italians. We could sit. If we had a pizza, we could just sit and eat a pizza pie and talk bullshit for hours on politics. So it's whatever. I want to ask you some dumb but not so dumb questions, and I thought of this earlier today because you and I can pontificate for hours about anything. I think you know, one thing I know about you is you have the gift of gab, and I think that's it's an important thing to have. But I think that before I just digress, you really should think about, as part of, you know, with all the time you put in, but doing what you do in some sort of official way for policies or for whatever, because I think it's important for people with the passion that you have to put the policies and the ideas in place, not that you haven't been, so that people who do this can get behind them, and people like me who are behind the ideas but have other things that they need to do in life can be there but also support those policies. And I think that that's how someone like Bernie exists. It's unfortunate that it took so long to push him into the mainstream so that enough people understood how important those policies were. And now maybe after this pandemic where nobody has money, no one's got a job, no one has money, no one has health care, no one has food, on and on and on, maybe those policies will become reality because of de facto. I don't know. I'm digressing. I'm hopeful in this time. I mean, for me, like, this is terrible, but I'm spending my time with my family. It's, you know, I make music for a living and I'm doing okay, and my family's okay. We're not sick. You know, I feel bad for my mom who's by herself. My father's passed away, so she's by herself. But, you know, we can't see her yet. But we're generally good. So I want to take that energy and hopefully come out of this thing and bring it back to how do we make this, turn it into a positive thing that we can shoot for specific policies.
I mean, listen, like, we're standing on a precipice here where I think that for the first time, Americans have finally seen the light that our government is held together by popsicle sticks and yarn and
chewing gum.
and that, you know, that this is everything that we've known that we thought was being taken care of isn't being taken care of. Like, our government, in the way that it exists right now, does not care about the American people. I mean, that is the bottom line. We have a House of Representatives that was supposed to reconvene on Monday. They're not doing it. So they, you know, there's nothing pressing going on right now. Why would they need to come back? Why would the House of Representatives need to come back? It's only a pandemic. So, like, you know, you have that going on, but you know, when you look at the bottom line statistics, and this is, I'm not trying to open up chasms here, but, like, you know, the mean income, not income, the mean net worth of the congressman in this country is over $3 million.
Yeah.
So how are those the people that are taking care of the American people? I mean, what percentage of Americans ever could dream of seeing that kind of money? It's you know, it's the almost the entire country. So you have these people who are representing, and speaking back to your point about, like, you know, saying, like, you should make it official. Like, there are two things that I most admire about Bernie. I mean, there's many, but if I was going to boil it down to two, he has an immense amount of patience. He's been very steadfast, and he's stayed by what he believes for the majority of his life. And I share that with him. I also have patience. I don't have as much as he does, but I have patience. And the other thing that he has is the ability to compromise, and I don't have that. I would be a terrible. I mean, you know, because you hear my voice goes up and I get very heated and emotional. And I mean, like,
Hey,
if I was on the city council, they would fucking hate me, and they would try to figure out how to.
I don't want to cut you off, but this is the first time this has happened to me. We have 1 minute and 45 seconds remaining, and that's what it's telling me. So I want to do something fun. Let's just do it fast, okay?
Sure.
Faith or science?
Science. Always.
Rave or festival?
Rave. Dirtier the better.
Ocean, lake, or desert?
Ocean.
Music or money?
Music. Jesus.
Acid or mushrooms?
Acid.
Big room or small room?
Back room.
What's your superpower?
Love.
How would you incorrectly describe your job? All right, we can skip that one.
Musician.
What animal should survive if only one can survive?
Elephant.
Cat or dog?
Dog.
If not music, then what?
Death.
Favorite meal?
Anything Daniela cooks.
Hunter or gatherer?
Gatherer.
What's the last gift you gave someone?
Oh, gosh. It's a crazy question. You know, that's I don't want to answer that, actually.
Okay. What genre are the Talking Heads?
Perfect music.
Right? There's no genre.